Have you ever bought a property before when you have paid 5 million naira initial deposits and upon payment, the real estate development company promises you heaven and earth? You went back few months after purchase and you were disappointed at what you saw, despite the fact that these guys promised you heaven and earth. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about major fraudulent practices that has been ignored by real estate investors. And today's episode is going to open your eyes not to fall prey into these practices. This is Property Matters. My name is Adejare. Do well to watch this video to the end, and I will see you immediately after this short time out. Don't go nowhere. You're welcome back. This is Property Matters, and we discuss extensively things that will not make you lose your real estate investment. If you are a returning subscriber, I want to say a very big thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. If you are a new subscriber, welcome on board. We can assure you that you are going to have the best moment on today's episode. So let's talk extensively on some major fraudulent practices that has dominated the real estate investment. It is now quite sad that even some of these practices does not even always look obvious again. This is due to the fact that there's been a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of branding, a lot of things that have secretly hidden these fraudulent practices, and it's quite sad that most real estate investors are not aware. What are these scams? The first and the most important is what we call title fraud. Now, when I talk about title fraud, I've explained extensively what land titles are. If you have not followed those videos, I'll be sharing the links to those videos so that you can follow it up and watch it at your own spare time. Now, what are those title frauds? I've seen instances whereby a real estate development company is selling acres of land, and the developer does not even have a registered survey on that property. I've seen instances whereby some real estate development companies will collect money for a registered survey and they will do a provisional survey. I've seen instances where a C of O document that has been revoked has also been used to sell properties in Lagos, Nigeria. When it comes to the real estate investment or the real estate sector in Lagos, Nigeria, don't rule out any possibilities of desperations. Now, the truth basically is that a whole lot of real estate development firms, are trying to match up, with the growing level of competitions, and this has made many of them to compromise standard. Now, whenever we are making a property recommendations, I've said it times without number that we have spent a lot of money in investigating title. Now, because the process of investigating title is rigorous, is cumbersome, and of course stressful, many people does not have the required expertise or the required experience to thoroughly vet and verify a document. So I'm going to share some of the things we do. The first thing we do basically is to confirm if the title actually exists on that property. Then upon confirmation, if the real estate developer has bought from the property from a family, we also do well to read the deed of assignment to find out if there are not loopholes. Then we also go further to investigate if there are hidden interest or multiple sales of that property. These, upon doing this on some of the real estate due diligence we've done from real estate, we've been able to uncover so many irregularities upon titles. Because of my time, I won't be able to go further. Let's go to the next fraudulent practice, which is called the allocation fraud. Now, when I talk about the allocation fraud, many people don't understand basically that a whole lot of things have happened over time, and many people are not aware of some of these things. When I talk about the allocation fraud, what exactly do I mean by that, and how can you uncover this? There have been several instances whereby a property has been advertised, In fact, I've even gone for inspection and I've seen several times that those properties were tried as, of course, portrayed in the video. Surprisingly, I've seen instances whereby we have been allocated in distances that are not even closer to the main place that was, advertised. Now, I've said it several times that when you're buying properties in Lagos, Nigeria, I've said it and I'm going to say it again that it is not wise, okay, for a real estate investor to hold statutory charges. See, when you don't pay up as stipulated, you are likely to fall to what we call allocation fraud. Now, what is allocation fraud? A dry property may be advertised and a waterlogged property may be allocated. Now, it is quite unfortunate that whenever a property is being advertised to real estate investor, they don't get to show you the entirety or the whole parcels of land so that you can be, thoroughly, informed on the decisions you are making. I've seen instances whereby a real estate development company will advertise phase one, and upon one or two skirmishes and disagreements the developer may have, okay, with the family, we are being allocated somewhere way distance from what we paid for. So allocation fraud is one of the thing you want to watch out for, and one of the way you can avoid this basically is to pay up your fees on time. The next fraud or the next manipulation that is also prominent in the real estate practices in Lagos is what we call the development levy fraud. Now, I call this development levy fraud because of the fact that a whole lot of real estate development developers that I've worked with, several of them have not lived up to expectation. And while some have been of wilders and produce quality service delivery, a lot of them have not. Now, when we talk about development fraud, before the inflation and every other thing happened in Lagos, Nigeria, I've seen instances whereby real estate companies will charge 3 million for development, others will charge 4 million for development, only for you to find out that what you have paid millions of naira is still waterlogged, is still not properly, the access road has not been properly done. A whole lot of things that can even, fast track development in that estate have not been done. Now, it is quite unfortunate that despite receiving this huge amount of money from real estate investors, most of these guys find it extremely difficult to provide the basic necessities and facilities that can, even encourage people who have bought into that property to start development. A lot of them will tell you, the place is land banking, you cannot build, but realistically, if these companies have thoroughly utilized, okay, the development fee which was collected from each client, you will agree with me that some of the properties that you have bought is supposed to be yielding consistent rental income. But because of the fact that some real estate development company lacks what we call thorough transparency, there's no integrity, many people use this development for money to start other projects, whereby leaving the ones that has been sold to do what? To suffer. And of course, to suffer what we call slow pace of development. So the next fraud that I also want real estate investors to understand is what we call the initial deposit fraud. Now, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Now, when we talk about the initial deposit fraud, I'll be linking this particular point to some of the off-plan projects and some of the, a lot of um issues and things we have experienced basically. Now, when we talk about initial deposit, if you are doing an off-plan project, realistically, in this present economy, you should know that a lot of real estate development companies have collected initial deposits 2 years up from today, 3 years from today. Until date, the property has not been delivered. Now, the ones that have been done, let's say 50 to 60%, the access route to these properties is still not working for investors to even have access to their property. There have been instances whereby we have asked questions that we collected 5 million for initial deposits, and we have this so number of people that have subscribed. Now, if you have completed that project, what exactly do you do with the initial deposit? Some of these projects have not been done, some of these things have been abandoned. You see, when it comes to real estate development, you need to understand that if you are paying an initial deposit, it is very important that you have a memorandum of understanding with the real estate developer. And how you can do that basically is for you to thoroughly check and assess, their track record, so that you will be thoroughly assured that you are not investing with the wrong person. So, initial deposit, for a lot of people have paid initial deposit for properties. A lot of people have even paid complete for the properties, and that property is not ready. So you want to watch out for the initial deposit fraud. Now, the next thing of fraud that I have also experienced in the real estate market is what we call the land banking fraud. Now, concerning this land banking fraud, I'm going to elaborate more on this and give some of the expectations that a lot of people have yet to realize. Now, when people pitch land banking to real estate investors, it is very common that most of these guys are always pitching those projects, those developments, and along the line, you'll find out 2, 3, 4, 5 years after your purchase, not, none of such projects is actually existing. Now, what happened basically is that when they are giving you a land banking, a lot of people will tell you, this is the development that is coming to this place. This is development that is coming to this place. The government is building a seaport. The government is building a golf course. The government is doing the actual road. Is doing things now. 2, 3, 4, 5 years after purchase, you find out that the land is still the same. If that should be your case, or sometimes it's even sad. The worst part of this thing is that some real estate development companies that have even sold this land to you, some of them have even lost possession, and because of the fact that there's no regulation, a whole lot of people still fall for this. So there are a lot of fraudulent activities. That is, we have rental scam, we have shortlet scams, we have a lot of things that has been used to project property with the intention, okay, of capturing, okay, the attention of the investor. So for you not to fall into this scam, now let me quickly reiterate that some of these fraudulent practices is not common among some companies with integrity, and that's why sometimes if you want to buy property, or if you are working through us to get your next real estate investment, I can give you a profile of the trusted and of course competent real estate developers that we have worked with. When we talk about giving you a profile, we don't do that for all real estate developers. We only do it for real estate development companies that have delivered, and most of their projects are already residential. So one of the things I will advise you do basically, if you want to buy your next real estate investment, is to concentrate majorly on profiling the real estate development company. All these things are very critical, because if you don't do a thorough and objective profiling of the real estate developer, you may fall into the hands of somebody that is only interested, or that might only be interested in your money without giving you the services you paid for. So these are these. So I'm not saying all real estate development companies are scam. It should be very unfair and very professional of me to admit some of these things, but sometimes it is also important to state that many people don't know, okay, the impending danger or the impending consequences of what may transpire if they are working newly with a real estate development company. Because you see, sometimes dangers don't always appear to be so from the first instance. It takes a little bit of investigation, fact check, due diligence for you to unravel if a real estate investment will turn up to be disastrous. So these are the major fraudulent practices, and I've explained how you can identify them. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you experienced any of this? And of course, do well to subscribe, like, share this video. and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now. God bless you.